What's up, guys? I'm David Pere, the founder of the Military Millionaire community, and today I want to talk to you about something that has nothing to do with money, the best military trucks, in my opinion. And I feel like, somewhat adequately qualified to talk about this because for the last 12 and a half years, I've been motor transportation for the Marine Corps, meaning trucks, transpo, logistics, and I've now done high-level logistics, and I've gotten to work with other services. And so these are the top 8 vehicles, in my opinion, in the military. Now, there might be some differences. I mean, obviously, there's tanks and AAVs and LAVs and all that other crap, but this is just normal, like, trucks. Yeah, and so I'm just going to count this down. Probably be a fairly short video because, I'm not going to go into technical aspects of all the different vehicles, but just know why. I'll tell you why I like them and why I don't like them. And yeah, these are the top 8 in my opinion. So number 8, I put in here kind of a funny vehicle. This is called the Husky, and I put this in more as a joke than anything else. This is a 1-seater vehicle that's kind of weird with all these tires and legs. Kind of looks almost like a 4-legged spider. And you basically drive down the road, and it's got all kinds of sensor stuff, and it was used to try to find IEDs. And basically the premise was if you drove over a bomb, everything would just break off, and you would just fall in your little Husky shell, or get blown and roll down the road in your little Husky shell, but you'd be okay. Yeah, so not exactly the ideal spot to be, although I always wanted to drive one around, so who knows. Number 7 I put on the list is the Humvee, and I listed this because everybody knows what a Humvee is, and everybody's familiar with these, or the civilian version of the Hummer, and these are POS. They're pieces of shit. They were never designed to be used as long as we've been using them. They were designed to last, I don't know, 20 years, and we're at 30. There's a reason that we are replacing them. So they're older. They're just, they were good for what they were meant to do, but they weren't built for a time when we were driving over IEDs. So you see pictures of people in Iraq and Afghanistan putting sandbags on the floor beds, trying to make them a little bit more blast proof. And then eventually they got armor upgrades, but then because of how heavy the armor upgrades were, they weren't built to carry that much weight. So they were slow and sluggish because of that. And they were built for a different era. So they did what they needed to do, but definitely glad that the military is moving away from them. Number 6 is the MRAP. MRAP was my home on deployment. So I literally spent way too much time in these vehicles, and living inside of this thing, sleeping inside of this thing. Yeah, so these are the ones, they had the V-shaped hull, and they were four-wheels or 6-wheel drive, and they had seats in the back, facing each other, so you could have people in the back, and then a gunner, and then the driver, air conditioner in the front, air conditioner in the back. These were built more for Afghanistan. They actually had the camera, a thermal camera on them too, so if dust storms kicked up, you could drive with the thermal camera, or you could see at night. So these were awesome. I was definitely a fan. I literally lived in an MRAP for months, and yeah, I enjoyed them. I like driving these things, so they're up there on my list, but probably not my favorite. Although I probably should have put them a little higher on the list. Number 5 is the JLTV. Lots of hype to live up to, but I don't know. We have yet to see. So the technical thing, aspect of these is great. These are the Humvee replacement. They can raise and lower the height of their ride. They can adjust suspension. You can even go in as a maintainer and push a button and make it fake. You can tell it to fake that it's got a misfiring cylinder so that people can diagnose and practice on them. So technologically, they're really cool vehicles. Yet to be determined how well they're going to hold up over time. They've had a few issues already, but that's normal when a new vehicle rolls out. One issue I know of is that we had one bust into flames while being flat-towed, something with the brakes. So apparently that's happened more than once. I don't know. Just something to figure out. So there's always issues like that when we introduce new vehicles, but this one's kind of different because we basically piggybacked off the Army for this vehicle instead of designing it for what we were doing, which is a little different for us as the Marine Corps. So yeah, we'll see. Lots of hype to live up to. Hopefully these turn out. The LVSR 18 is number 4, and I love these things. So the LVSR 18 is a big logistics vehicle for the Marine Corps. It's got a 20-foot bed, and then another trailer that you can tow, the PLST, with another 20-foot bed. But the cool thing about these is that they have what they call the flaw, or I call it the claw, but an arm that can literally you can it can grab a container and pull it onto itself. So it can pick up an ISO container and pull it onto itself, or a flat rack. So you can load a flat rack on the ground, like load a MMV, like heavy equipment on it, and then it can pick it up and load it onto itself. So if you don't have forklift, you can still load an ISO container or an MMV or quad-cons on, and just really well designed, super useful. And we kind of jokingly call these like the Cadillac, because the internal, like the cab on these is really nice. It's got like lights you can use even if you're not driving, like internal cab lights, so you can see what you're doing. Fairly comfortable ride and tons of power. Very, very, very difficult to get this vehicle stuck. So definitely probably it's one of the tops, because it's got some of the coolest features, and it's just a really durable, all-around solid vehicle. Number 3 is the LVSR 16, and the only difference between the 18 and the 16 is that the 18 has the attached bed, and then the 16 is basically just a fifth wheel trailer that can tow. This thing is a beast. So we've got a couple of different 870 trailers that are huge. We can tow a couple different things with it, and it's got a huge, we're talking 100K capacity. It's very, very powerful. And like the best, like big time logistics vehicle we have. It can go out to, you've got outriggers, so you can go out to 12 feet wide carrying a load. Just a super, super, super solid vehicle, really useful. The downside to these is, like we saw a lot in Afghanistan, that they'll lose axles in the sand. Like we had people that drop an axle. We have to, basically ratchet strap the axle back up out of the way so that we could keep driving and running over axles. So some issues with the trailers on that end. They've improved, but they weren't exactly meant for like just mobbing through the desert. One of the guys I work with and I, when we were young Marines, we were cruising around in Afghanistan together. He was driving this thing and he was a beast with it. But yeah, definitely lose some axles every now and then. But yeah, the LVSR, the 16870 combination is a crazy logistics asset for sure. Number 2 on the list is the MATV, and I put this on here as I listed it as the most fun. I really just put this on here because I always thought it was cool to describe that this vehicle was like if a Corvette and a four-wheeler fucked and had a kid, right? Like, this thing was awesome. It was super fast. We used to get in trouble for trying to, like, the one or two times I was always the lead Vic on deployment, but like the one or two times I was the back vehicle for like a change in pace, I would like drop back from the convoy and stop and wait just to floor this son of a gun and see how fast it could go. I mean, it was loud. It had great exhaust. It was, 4 seats with a gunner's turret, and it had some towing capacity, but it was fast. It was fun. Oh man, you through the desert going like 60 miles an hour. Just I know 60 doesn't sound that fast, but through the desert, yeah, this thing was. MATV is fun. Anyone who's ever driven one of these things knows exactly what I'm talking about. The moment you fire it up, you're like, ooh, that sounds good. Just a cool vehicle for sure. And then my favorite I put down here is the MTVR, or our 7-ton vehicle. And I put this down here as like the best all around. So it can tow. It's got a really cool new trailer. The 593 trailer they have for it, very well designed, much better than all the old trailers. But this has a, it's called the 7-ton because it can carry 7 tons of cargo off-road, but it's more like it actually weighs more than that. It weighs like 28 to 40,000 pounds, depending on what version. 3-seater cab, and it has a turret, so you can do 3 seats or 2 seats with with someone in the turret. It can do troop carrying with an up-armored armadillo, or not up-armored troop carrying. It can do flatbed. It's very versatile. So this is like the LVSR has the same bed space as the long bed 7-ton and can tow as more cargo per se, but there's not a troop adapter for the LVSR, whereas the 7-ton can carry people. Much more versatile. It's 6-wheel drive. It's got the CTIS, which is central tire inflation system, so you can lower and raise tire pressure based on your terrain. It's just a super durable vehicle. All around, great asset. I love the 7-tons. I've loved them forever. And maybe that's it. Maybe that's why. It's because it's what I grew up on, and we used to try to get them stuck in the mud and we couldn't. And maybe I'm just jaded because I've been in these things forever, but I love love the 7-ton. I've done some crazy things in it, just like I've done some crazy things in the MRAP, fording rivers and going out to places that people probably should never take these vehicles. When you're deployed, you do some crazy things. So personally, I love the MATV, or the MTVR, the MRAP, and the MATV, because like those are what I lived in, literally, for some of them. But I have to admit the LVSRs are phenomenal, and they're kind of like the Cadillac to ride in. And then obviously I listed some others on here, but this is my take on the best military trucks out there for the U.S. There's some other crazy ones in other countries too, some interesting stuff. But my take, one person's take. So what do you guys think? What are the best military trucks out there? And make sure you subscribe and like if you enjoyed this video. I know this isn't my normal content, but hey, my thought with this is that some people who are interested in military trucks and in the military and whatever might stumble upon it, and then maybe they find the rest of the Facebook group and YouTube channel, and they, my hope is that it just helps you learn something about, military finance and bettering your personal situation. So that's what we do here. We teach service members, vets, and their families how to build wealth through real estate, entrepreneurship, and personal finance. And have a great day.